ocean, you know, it's like stepping into a different world. You're actually on the bottom of the totem pole, right? And you see the sunrise and you see all the colors in the sky. No matter who you are, you deserve to see that kind of beauty. I want everybody to just embody their truth and see that we can all walk around being our fullest selves and celebrate each other for it. Enjoying just the day-to-day beauty that is around all of us all the time. To me, being trans is like taking everything that you ever knew or were told or taught or conditioned and like flipping it the bird and living life the way you choose to. So growing up in the like early 90s in Southern Orange County, I knew I was different, but I didn't know what that meant. And there's this picture of me. I think I'm in like gotcha, like neon 80s surf attire. My hair is stuffed into my hat, so it looks like I'm more boyish. And I'm standing there with this like, what up? You know, like, what? You know, like hard. I don't know, just flexing. It was a mood for sure. I'm not that hard now. Being a tomboy as a kid, it's okay, but you're expected to grow out of that. When I hit a certain age, that's when things kind of spiraled for me, where I felt more othered, more lost. I was showing up as somebody that I actually wasn't. I was fitting myself into a mold that I actually didn't feel comfortable in. I mean, I had friends, but I was very compartmentalized, like everything had its own place. And it wasn't until 3 or 4 years ago when I came out as trans that everything started to actually fall into place and become more integrated. Because I think when I was a kid, I was just living my life the way I wanted to live it. And now as an adult, I feel like I'm returning back to that childlike self and experiencing joy in a childlike way. It's a really interesting time to be in this transition period where I'm kind of in this middle ground of like holding on to some of my old, like parts of my old identity, while still forging new ones. Just being myself. So I don't really know what to expect. And if I'm always in this unknown, it's always just kind of scary. Bodysurfing kept me sane. It was like the only way I could really step outside of my life and have a moment of just peace. I don't actually think I found like my true like chosen family or like my community until maybe like 3 or 4 years ago.
My first recollection of meeting Tyler was at Manhattan Beach Pier.
And I remember walking up and saw him get a good wave, and I went, whoa, that person's good, you know?
Tyler charges waves. I mean, there's some waves of consequence that come in, and Tyler will go after it.
So my chosen family is the Gillis Beach Bodysurfing Association, and they are this group of old guys. Like, I think the median age is like 70 years old. And,
we are the oldest body surfing group on Earth, founded in 1964. We're a great group of friends. We really care about one another. We stand by one another.
It's interesting because you wouldn't think that like 4 white dudes and me would be like a perfect match. But surprisingly, our identities of like who we are as far as gender or age, that doesn't necessarily matter. We're all obsessed with getting in the water, and it's a lifestyle. And we all value just that same routine of getting up early, getting salty, and that's the way we want to start our day.
To us, Tyler is just part of our community.
Overall, we're really not that much different. I think in many ways Tyler fits in better than I do, so.
Today in Santa Cruz, the 35th annual body surfing competition at Laguna Creek Beach. The championships bring surfers from all over the country. Starting at 7 this morning, there were more than 70 men and around 13 women who showed up to compete.
Body surfing, like most sports, is binary. And it's interesting because I'm non-binary, so I don't really identify as a man or a woman. I identify as everything and nothing all at once. Some people say it's a spectrum. I don't even subscribe to that. I think it's like a galaxy, and there's just like an infinite amount of ways to be a human, and I'm just one little star. When it's my turn to compete, I'm only in the water with like 6 other people on like epic waves. Of course I'm gonna go do that. Like, who doesn't want to have a solo session or a small session with some equally stoked people with good waves? When I first started competing, it was a little bit more about winning. And I mean, I won 1 comp. It was my first comp. I should have just retired. I won 1 comp. But now it's about seeing my family. I'm just another body surfer. And there's plenty of body surfers that are supremely skilled, and it doesn't matter how old they are, where they come from, what their gender is. They just know how to read a wave. And I want to be around people that love the ocean and want to participate in the same way that I do.
Yeah, his body surfing community, that was like a real sense of family for him. And I think while he has found his people and a community that rallies around him, it's so hard, I think, to be someone inside that the world around you doesn't recognize. It takes a lot of grit and bravery just to be yourself. I mean, Tyler's my partner, and I've never met anybody like him. He's completely unique in my eyes.
I'm a teacher. I'm a PE teacher, and I'm a strength conditioning coach. I've been coaching since 2005. What inspires me is seeing these students from like 12 years old in 7th grade to 18 and then going off to be young adults and watching that change happen before my eyes and seeing them like fully come into themselves. That's like the best feeling.
Not as though Tyler said, hey everyone, let me become the poster child for what this could be or what some of our students might be going through, but Tyler, I think, really became a really important voice for a lot of those students.
Historically, it's been an all-girls school. But I don't like saying that now because we don't have all girls. We have students that identify outside the binary.
Hello, how are you?
How's it been since you've graduated?
Freshman year was hard for many reasons, but I felt really like alienated from myself and my experiences. You know, a lot of freshman years being asked about high school and what you did in high school, and I felt like there was this really big thing about high school that I wasn't sharing with people.
Alden, he came out as trans, and he was our first graduating male student. And if it wasn't for him and the conversations we had while he was transitioning, and like, he changed the entire trajectory of my life.
When I first got to college, I really wanted to distance myself from my trans identity because it was so much of my life and my school life. There's some tension having like been pretty much wrestling with who I was and how I wanted to be in the world, how I wanted to be perceived.
When I go body surf, like, my transness has nothing, you know, like, it's not really something that I wear on my sleeve all the time, but it's also such an intrinsic part of who I am that if you don't know that about me, then you don't know me, right? And my goal with my students is to help them feel more embodied and just more empowered and more attuned to their identities, who they are, how they carry themselves in the world.
The particular embodiment of being a trans person, right, like feels really different when you feel like you actually have some agency or authority over how you can move in the world. And I don't think I would have been able to do that by myself.
When I teach my students, I come out to them every day because I want them to know, like, hey, I'm trans, these are my pronouns, and I'm proud to be trans. This is how I want to model being trans in the world, something that I'm proud of, not something that I'm afraid of. The dream for me is now taking who I am and who I'm becoming and inserting myself into this role. I feel almost like I've created this culture, this life, but I'm not fully in it yet. It's like I'm inching towards this world that I've created. On paper, I've got it, but I'm still trying to push myself to show up in that space fully. I don't think I went from like female to male, and I think that's a really binary way of thinking about it. For me, it was more of understanding that I had more facets of myself that were closed off. And so for me, the transition is more of like an alignment when it comes to like who I am and who I want to be and the integrity in which I hold myself to and showing up in places as my truest, most authentic self. I'm there. And that to me was the goal, was to show up and stop existing and actually start living. I think people need to come across and see trans people everywhere, but just as regular people that live their lives and have passions and can thrive and find joy. We're not just like a news bulletin. There's no right or wrong. There's only our own perception and judgment. And when we start judging, that's when things get messed up. If you can just see people for who they are, the faults, the mistakes, the whatever, their identities, if you can just look at someone and be like, you're a human, and for that reason you are valid and you're worthy of love, and no matter who you are, I can see the beauty in you. I mean, that would be really fucking rad.